Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post. IRS in panic mode, employees crying, offices closed down, and thousands more fired. Coming from CNN, delete is one of their favorite terms. Inside DOGE's IRS takeover ahead of tax season. DOGE has people in every major federal agency now. They're looking for fraud, waste, and abuse, and they want to delete it. The IRS is not used to this. And the major function of the DOGE team inside the IRS seems to be locate illegal aliens within the United States, even if they're paying taxes, and turn that information over to the proper authorities. They're doing more than just that. But if I'm going to be honest, I'm going to admit, it looks like that's what they're doing. The chaos at the Internal Revenue Service began almost immediately after the first envoy from the Department of Government Efficiency arrived last month at the agency's Washington, D.C. headquarters. Within minutes of showing up, a 20-something software engineer dispatched from DOGE began demanding access to the tax collection agency's most protected internal database. First the IT systems, and then one containing the personal and financial data for millions of American taxpayers, and another system housing IRS contracts. One thing the DOGE people can do that no one else has ever been able to do before, which is read contracts. They can go through contracts, analyze contracts like in seconds. Because the power of artificial intelligence cannot be overstated. It's incredible. I use it myself sometimes. I have a 150-page reference document that I upload to ChatGPT, just the regular version of it, and it reads it within seconds. And I can ask questions about it, and it immediately knows the answer to those questions. It completely understands immediately what's going on. A lot of what DOGE is doing would not be possible without artificial intelligence. And let's not forget, Elon Musk is not using ChatGPT like I am. He's using his own Grok system, which apparently now is worth something like $75 billion. He just started it like a couple of years ago. And I've used it, and it's good. It's sophisticated. It's a little bit better than ChatGPT. Another DOGE staffer sought to shut down nearly all of IRS's congressionally funded programs and initiatives planned for this fiscal year, many aimed at modernizing the agency and improving the tax filing process. And of course, they're shutting them down because they're stupid processes that much more sophisticated software engineers would know how to do a better job with than these IRS staff people. No offense to those people. I'm sure they mean the best for whatever they're doing. But realistically, let's be honest, you're not going to put federal tech people ahead of the tech people that Elon Musk would bring into an organization. As DOGE has set up shop inside the IRS over the past month, the agency has fired thousands of workers and auditors and set out to shutter more than 110 taxpayer assistance offices across the country. Widespread layoffs are in the works, with plans to cut nearly 20% of all IRS employees by May 15th. The DOGE raids, which have played out at multiple agencies, has thrown the IRS into turmoil at the height of tax season. While the business of processing returns and issuing refunds has been ongoing, sources say these DOGE actions could undermine the long-term operations of the IRS, which handles nearly all accounts receivable for the federal government. In interviews with CNN, multiple current and former IRS officials who spoke on the condition that they remain anonymous described an atmosphere of intimidation, especially of career staffers. Quote, they just randomly drop by people's offices, demand access to systems. They're bullying us, and there's no discipline in what they're doing, which really worries me, said one IRS employee. Quote, it's a cluster F, and I can't believe no one is stepping up to do anything, said another top staffer who worked at the IRS. Quote, we are paralyzed, said a third IRS source. Another current IRS employee who works outside Washington and is a local union leader said it's now routine to see people crying in the office and managers going around apologizing for firings they had no decision in. Quote, morale is suffering, the person said. Nina Olson, who served from 2001 to 2019 as the independent national taxpayer advocate within the IRS, said the cuts were basically gutting the agency by hollowing out the ranks, putting the IRS's future at risk. Quote, you've got a lot of new blood getting fired. That's supposed to be the future of the workforce, Olson said, referring to the agency's newly hired probationary employees. Quote, then you've got the most skilled people at the height of their institutional knowledge leaving through retirement. Olson, who now runs the Nonpartisan Center for Taxpayer Rights, criticized this shotgun approach to staff reductions and predicted, quote, none of this bodes well for the taxpayers. In response to CNN's reporting, the White House press secretary said in a statement, Quote, this story is based on anonymous sources and the fraudsters always scream the loudest. The vast majority of Americans support President Trump rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. Elon Musk explained this about fraud as he personally experienced it running PayPal. As soon as they put in measures to prevent fraud because it was ruining the PayPal company, fraudsters went berserk. They were very upset because it made it difficult to commit fraud. That is what happens. A CNN poll released last week found that 62% of Americans are worried that Trump's cuts to the federal government will go too far and lead to important programs being shut down. Only 37% said they're more worried that the cuts won't go far enough to eliminate fraud and waste. If I gave you a poll, and I said to you in this poll, are you concerned that the cuts will go too far, or are you concerned that the cuts won't go far enough? I would not be concerned that the cuts won't go far enough. I'm sure they will cut them very, very far. So are you going to automatically put me on the other side of that survey? Surveys are very easy to manipulate. Most people are very happy with Elon Musk going into the federal government, using his brilliant young people and artificial intelligence to get rid of the nonsense that we all know is there. Since Trump's return, there have been a number of leadership changes at the IRS. The Biden-appointed IRS Commissioner, Danny Werfel, resigned on Inauguration Day. The acting commissioner who succeeded him retired 4 weeks later. The current leader, Melanie Krause, has only been at the IRS for 3.5 years. Trump's nominee to be the next full-time commissioner, former GOP Congressman Billy Long, hasn't been confirmed yet. In a Truth Social post, Trump didn't say anything about the fact that Werfel's statutory 5-year term, which is intended to give the IRS commissioner some independence from the president, wasn't set to expire until 2027. During the transition, Werfel reached out multiple times to incoming Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, seeking guidance on whether to resign or stay at the helm until Long was confirmed, to maintain stability amid tax season, according to a source familiar with the matter. Bessent never responded, the source said, and Werfel stepped down on January 20th. Along with reducing headcount, sources say that it appears DOGE's priority at the IRS has been around accessing its vast data systems. In recent weeks, DOGE staffers have gained access to the IRS's HR system that houses personal information of all their employees. While the courts weigh whether to allow DOGE to have full access to IRS data systems, the effort to remake the tax collection agency is well underway. It began in mid-February when senior IRS staff were told DOGE would be visiting their offices. They were given just a 15-minute heads up that Gavin Klieger, a 25-year-old software engineer, was on his way. Within minutes of arriving, Klieger demanded access to the IRS's tax administration systems, according to an IRS employee. In a Bloomberg op-ed published Friday, Werfel, the former IRS commissioner, said DOGE should not have access to the sensitive data. He said it was akin to the CEO of a bank walking into a branch and demanding access to all the customers' safe deposit boxes. Only a select group of IRS employees have access to the systems that house taxpayer-sensitive financial data. Career employees informed Klieger that he could not access the agency's IT system without undergoing extensive background checks to ensure he would not pose an insider threat. 2 weeks later, Klieger was joined at the IRS by Sam Korkos, a 36-year-old startup entrepreneur. As soon as Korkos got there, one IRS employee told CNN he pushed to halt nearly all the agency's congressionally funded programs and initiatives it was planning for the fiscal year and calendar year of 2025. The IRS employee told CNN Korkos was making the demand without, quote, fully understanding how the agency works within the federal government. Quote, they'll come in and say we're going to delete that initiative. Delete is one of their favorite terms, said the IRS employee. So we're scrambling to figure out, does Sam have that authority? Does Gavin have that authority? Did Treasury give them that authority? Korkos also pushed for a fast-track background check, which would have required federal employees to work on the weekend so he could quickly gain access to the IRS IT system. I mean, you could work on the weekend sometimes. I'm working on the weekend right now. By the following Monday, the agency's top HR officer was placed on administrative leave. She was told she was dismissed for being insubordinate after Klieger's demand for an expedited background check for his DOGE partner had not been fulfilled over the weekend. I'm not sure what she thought was going to happen, but that's what happened. Like all of DOGE's actions, the moves at the IRS are part of the Trump administration's broader efforts to root out fraud and abuse. But 2 IRS employees who spoke to CNN said that some of the actions taken by DOGE inside IRS appeared to be aimed at finding ways to use the agency's protected data to find undocumented immigrants or illegal aliens. The Department of Homeland Security circulated a draft memo to IRS that represented a sweeping request for information about suspected undocumented immigrants or illegal aliens, including the home addresses of several 100,000 individuals who paid federal taxes based on their individual taxpayer identification numbers, according to a CNN source. The memo also proposed IRS detail a dedicated group of several dozen senior IRS auditors to launch investigations into companies suspected of hiring illegal aliens. Privacy experts say that would be a violation of the strict disclosure laws that IRS operates under that prohibit the release of tax return information by IRS employees. 2 illegal immigrant rights groups in Chicago sued the Treasury Department and IRS earlier this month and asked the judge to block the agency from sharing taxpayers' identifying information with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or DHS, as Trump pushes for more deportations. The groups claim that federal law forbids the IRS from giving this data to immigration authorities because ICE and DHS aren't listed as exceptions to the confidentiality rules in the tax code. If that does happen, lawyers for the groups wrote in filings that it would subject their members, quote, to harm in the form of the arrest, detention, or other deprivations of liberty associated with the Trump administration's stated intention to engage in mass actions against illegal immigrants. That case is still pending in federal court. Though the IRS's automated tax return systems continue to run smoothly, taxpayers in the long term may eventually experience the paralyzing effects of DOGE. Because these guys with their Teslas and their spaceships and their satellites can't figure out how to run administrative functions over at the IRS. I think that's a little ridiculous. If these guys actually spend enough time trying to fix the IRS or any federal agency, especially their technical operations, they're going to run a lot more efficiently, especially if they incorporate artificial intelligence. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.